Say hi to the camera, you little shit. I'm just kidding, I love him. Even though he's being a little shitty right now. No, don't. Hey you guys, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be on my favorite romance novels. This isn't a comprehensive list, and I know Valentine's Day was on Thursday and it is now Saturday when I'm filming, Sunday when this video goes up. But you know what? I got nothing. I somehow forgot it was Valentine's Day. I had a plan for a Weird Wednesday too, and I forgot, so. But on the bright side, I did decide to revive my blog. If you guys don't know, I did have a blog before going to YouTube. So if you guys want to go ahead and check out my Valentine's Day themed post, I'll have a link to that down below as well. And on that blog, I'm going to go ahead and talk about like random things like writer problems, video games I've seen, movies I've seen, me screaming into the void about books that doesn't involve like a review or a wrap-up. But without further ado, let's jump into the video before I go ahead and talk more and more about random things that you guys don't want to hear about. So I'm not gonna lie, I went through this thinking that I had read a ton of romance novels, like books solely focused on romance, and I have come to the realization that I primarily read fantastical novels with some romance elements in them, which isn't a bad thing. It just means for like trying to figure out like my top like romance novels of all time or romance novel recommendations. It's a blah blah blah. So, in no particular order, we're going to go off the books that I have read comprehensively on. Some of these guys don't have reviews on them because this was like before I got into writing reviews for books. The first book that I this one's actually pretty much based off of romance, which I'm very proud of myself for, and that is the Kissed by an Angel trilogy by Elizabeth Chandler. This is a YA novel, and it's essentially about this couple, Tristan and Ivy? Yes, Ivy. And throughout their relationship until Tristan is eventually killed, and now they have to figure out who had caused Tristan's death, as well as trying to figure out if they're after Ivy or not. Now, I have read this a ton of times. I love this book so much. As you guys can tell, the dog loved it too when she was a puppy. So I think it might be time to buy a new version of this book. But I cannot get enough of this book. I haven't read it in a hot minute, so I might reread this sometime soon. It's just one of my favorites. I think my mom bought it to me on a whim. I think there's a movie based off of this. Maybe? I'm not entirely sure. But I just love the characters and the progression of everything. And I think it's time for another reread real soon. The next book is actually a trilogy. And if you guys have seen the Netflix movie, you kind of know where I'm going with this. I also have a, I believe, series review on this particular trilogy, and that is To All the Loves I've Boyed Before. Okay, To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. This is, like I said, a young adult romance, and it follows Lara Jean Covey as she kind of creates these letters to all the boys she's loved before as closure. And no one has read these letters, no one knows they exist but her. That is until one day all of these letters are somehow magically mailed out to the boys that she has said loved before. Now, we kind of end up trying to figure out who did this, why this happened, as well as, well, a fake romance between one of my favorite characters of all time, Peter Kavinsky. At least, somewhat of my favorite. He does have his problematic moments. This trilogy is honestly such a cute and quirky read. It's very precious, very much reminiscent of like The First Love, very high schooly, in which everything is like happens very quickly, lots of drama ensues, and honestly, I'm so excited that the second book's gonna get a sequel, because that means we get to meet John Ambrose McLaren. And I love my perfect boy. So, hopefully, he's just as perfect as he is in the book as he was in the movie. The next one is actually one that like was really popular on BookTube for a while, and then the author came out with like the Next Generation situation, which I think I probably won't buy physically because I don't know how to feel about it, but I ended up picking up these books in Ireland while I was there, and I read the first three, like, zoomed past them, essentially, when I was in Ireland for, like, that month. And that is the Selection series by Kiera Cass. This is, like, what would happen if The Bachelor met the Hunger Games, essentially. Yeah, but no killing, sort of. So, the king, or the prince, is turning, I think, 18 here, and I think 29 girls or 50 girls. Essentially, a large amount of girls are picked from like a bucket essentially and are sent over to the castle for Prince Maxen, our lovely bachelor, to choose his next wife. And it's kind of like this huge game show where we see like where there are rules set up and there are people like watching them, rooting for their favorite person. And America, our main girl, has never wanted to be part of the show, never thought she would, until one day she just kind of did it on a whim and ends up getting chosen. And now she kind of has to deal with this lovely relationship that she's slowly creating between her and her prince as she figures out what she wants to do with her life. Like I said, I blasted through these books and I loved them so much when I was reading them. It's definitely a guilty pleasure. It's like exactly like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. It's a guilty pleasure kind of read. It's very quick, very fun. I love Prince Maxen. Maxen has my heart. Like, no, there are very little words in the English dictionary that can describe my absolute adoration for that little boy. And the little boy's like 16 in the books. But he's younger than I am and it's weird now. But I absolutely adore him and like, where is the Prince Maxens of the world? Because if you out there, your girl's single. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I want to finish out the series, so I'll be doing that this year after rereading these books. I'll probably pick it up on Libby via Kindle because, like I said, I don't know how to feel about like the weird continuing on with series. Very few authors can get away with doing like a prequel series and a next gen series kind of situation, and typically the authors that can get away with it are the ones who like separate them out, if that makes sense. Not so much like within the same series, but they're like separate series, so you're not things that I don't know how to explain it. If you want an example, view Cassandra Clare, but I don't know. I just love this series so much and I want to see what happens. But if not, I will always have the original trilogy deep in the recesses of my heart. The next book is a no-brainer, as I did a tea talk on it, and it ended up being one of my honorable mentions for my favorite books of 2018, and that is When the Moon Is Ours by Anna Marie McLemore. This follows two childhood friends, Sam and Miel. Sam loves to paint the moon for his friend Miel, while Miel can grow roses from her wrists. Now, this is all fine and dandy until one day these three brujas, or three sisters, that is, they named the brujas, end up finding an interest in her, in her flowers, and think there's more to it than just like flowers growing randomly, and start to blackmail her for said flowers until like all of her secrets are spilled out. Now, I enjoyed this book. As you guys know, I loved it. I think I gave it a 4.5 or a 5 out of 5 stars. I cannot get enough of this. I will link my review of this book down below, as well as all the other books that do have reviews, series or singular, or however you want to do it. But I definitely did enjoy this book. I thought that it was such a cute read, and Anna Marie McLemore does like LGBT characters and like Latinx characters so well. Well, she is Latinx. She's Mexican, so that's probably why. But like LGBT characters are so beautiful, and her writing is wonderful, and like the world she builds this in, magical realism is like this girl's forte. And I just finished Wild Beauty, so like she's just a great author, and I recommend her to literally everyone who wants to go ahead and watch and like read it. The next book is one that I recently finished, so I won't dive too much into it because I do have a wrap-up going up, as well as my Goodreads review. But that is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. This follows Monty as he traverses through all of Europe for his year off with his best friend Percy, whom he has been harboring a crush on. I adore this book. It was such a cute and quirky read. Monty, I can't get into it, but Monty's one of those characters that you just love to hate. Like, he's adorable and you want to hate him because he's such a shit, but you love him anyway because his wit is like right there. And like, it's such a cute travel novel, it's such a cute romance novel, and I need the second book, but I want it in paperback so they actually match one another, because seldom do my books ever match. Like, it's kind of frustrating how there's like, I have paperbacks and I don't, then I have hardbacks but I don't. So like, I want it out in paperback so it'll just be matching, but I don't know when that comes out just yet, so it's a time. And finally, the last book should be really no surprise because I have not shut up about this book since I read it, but that is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Seriously, I probably will not shut up about this book until I read Circe, and even then I'll probably not shut up about both those books at the same time. But this is an Achilles myth retelling where we see Patroclus. Patroclus. Patroclus and Achilles grow up together as best friends before the Trojan War and the events leading up to the Trojan War, and the famed Achilles kind of dragging Hector's body attached to his carriage. So yeah, I don't know how much I can say more about it, but I adored this book. I thought it's such a cute little read. It's definitely one of the better retellings that I have seen of the myth. It's not, I don't believe it's 100% accurate. I have never heard of like the lead up to when Achilles and Patroclus met each other. This is definitely one of my favorite retellings, one of the ones that I've always seen like online tend to steer toward the cousins or the best friends, or they sat 5 feet apart on the tent because they weren't gay. So this is very, very gay and very wonderful, and I cannot get enough. Like, Madeline Miller, can you please do more of this? Like, I am waiting for her to come out with a series of like retellings for short stories and have one of them be Apollo and Hyacinthus. I can't pronounce the flower, can't pronounce the name, it's fine. Because I think she would do wonderfully to rewrite that love story as well. So this is very heartbreaking, highly recommend, love it so much, can't get enough of it. We'll never stop talking about this book until like she does something on Medusa or something, because I'm waiting for someone to retell Medusa's story, but it's fine. But that is it for the books that, my favorite romance books of all time. Not so much a recommendation list. If you guys want one of those, leave that down below. I don't do recommendations at all. I really should, but I just feel like I haven't read enough yet that I think of books that I want to do a recommendation list. So if you guys want me to do recommendation lists, tell me that and I'll try my hardest to like compile a list within like the next few months. But if you want to see more of my favorite kinds of books, also leave like this video so I know that you guys like these situations. But until my next video, I do upload twice a week, so subscribe, like if you like these videos. All of my information will be down below, including that blog post. I decided to do a love stories of mythology kind of situation. So I have 3 stories: Greek mythology, Egyptian, and Filipino mythology. For those of you guys who aren't very familiar with Filipino, because I wasn't familiar with this specific myth. So yeah, but until next time, I'll talk to you guys in the comments and on my social media. And what else can I talk to you guys? I think that's it. So have a great week, or I hope you guys have had a great week, but if not, hopefully next week is better. And until then, I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!